Welcome to The Jersey Doesn't Come Off. I'm Freddie Goodman, and I have here with me...
It's your boy Connor Johnson.
And Donovan Kennedy.
Thank you to our longtime listeners on this episode 3. Thank you for coming back. And for our first-time listeners, we hope you enjoy the show. We're going to be getting right into it. NFL Week 6. As y'all know, I'm a Steelers fan, so this is personal for me. But the Steelers are undefeated right now, 5-0. They last week when they were 4-0, it was the first time since '78, and then '79 when they did it again, and they won the Super Bowl those years. So I'm pretty hyped right now.
I'm looking down the line. Do you think they have a Super Bowl run in them this year?
I do because the O-line has just been nuts. I mean,
they have been absolutely destroying people.
Yeah.
Nobody's touching Big Ben.
And like Claypool, rookie coming out, hitting them hard.
Who thought?
I didn't. I'll be honest.
Because he's lighting people up.
Yeah, Claypool is killing them. Juju's killing them. This past week, James Washington is killing them.
I did not think the Steelers were going to be this good. I looked at the Steelers last year and, all the drama with the quarterbacks, with Myles Garrett and everything. I didn't think they were going to be this good. I knew they were, middle of the pack kind of team. Roethlisberger, great quarterback. But to see them 5-0 is kind of insane here.
I thought the Steelers were going to be good this year. I picked them preseason to win the division, actually. I just thought their defense would be top 2 in the NFL. I thought Roethlisberger, I just felt like he was going to stay healthy this year. It seemed like it. And it seemed like he got a lot of new hungry receivers. It's important to have talent there, but you got to have talent that wants to be on the field, talent that wants to be there, talent that's going to stay healthy. And that's what's happening so far. Claypool, I think a lot of people thought he was going to be good. I don't know if anybody thought he'd be this good, but 4 touchdowns in one game definitely helps the season stats for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Right. That's what happens when he plays the Eagles. Everybody goes off against him.
But you have James Conner who had 101 yards for you.
Yeah, and
that's huge.
If
your running back can consistently get 100 yards, that's easy.
And just to touch off of what you guys were saying, I'll be honest, and Donovan knows this because while we were working on film projects, I'd be trying to peep the score,
peep the stats,
peep the stats, just see how things are going because. We had Mason Rudolph and then we had Duck. And last year wasn't super promising. But to me, the Steelers are like the Spurs of the NFL. They're always kind of in contention for something.
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, they're very well run.
Yeah.
Very well run. I see the comparison.
Yeah. And this past season, though, last season, once things were kind of a wash and, so-and-so is coming out as MAGA, I was like, all right, well, I'm rocking with the Ravens. And, I shouldn't, because of the division and the rivalry, blah, blah. But it was last year, everybody was like, hey, if you don't have a football team and you're black, you might as well root for the Ravens.
Might as well be a Ravens fan. I respect it. Do it for B more.
Exactly. I was one of those people. When it came down to it, that's how I was feeling last year. I was like, it was a wash. I had already went to the Ravens. And then this year, I didn't really know what to expect. I definitely didn't expect no 5-0 start. I'm surprised, but I'm enjoying it. And I can't wait to see how far we go because it's like a handful of teams right now that are undefeated. So
they absolutely destroyed the Browns.
Yeah, 38-7.
I definitely did not see that coming. No, I didn't see that coming.
That's not even a game. Baker Mayfield, 10 for 18, 119 yards, and they bench him.
Yeah, they should have.
Yo,
initial thoughts?
What do you guys? What do you guys think is the issue with, the Browns right now? Because you got Odell, you got Baker, and we all know Baker was that boy in college, but right now. Him and Odell didn't have chemistry last season.
And I feel like it's only getting worse.
Yeah, I think Baker's the issue there.
Really?
So do you think they offload Baker? Or do they offload?
No, I think I would keep Odell. Here's the thing: their a competent quarterback away from being a top 5-10 team in the NFL. Like, they have one of the best lines. They have two of the top, say, 15, 10 running backs in the league, two of the top 20, 25 receivers. Their defense is really good. Like, they're a consistent quarterback play away from being the best team in the league, like, arguably. Like, they could go out and realistically get a Matt Ryan or a Sam Darnold or somebody and try to have that be an improvement over Baker, because I think either of those guys would be.
The crazy thing is, I don't even think Baker's a bad quarterback.
I do.
I just think as soon as he came in, it was kind of like a Johnny Manziel situation.
Well,
He was going to be that guy from the get-go, and then it got to his head, and he didn't perform to the right level.
Well, Johnny Football came in like, he came in I feel like he came in way too braggadocious. Like, he just hadn't done
Baker.
enough yet.
Yeah,
well, that's true. But see, Baker was like grinding it out. Like, Baker was a walk-on. So
at first he did. I will give that. He had that dog mentality for a while.
Well, he was a scholarship first, then he transferred and walked on at Oklahoma, I think. He started as a scholarship player at Texas Tech, though, because he was, I think he was behind Mahomes, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I knew he was at Texas Tech at one point.
Yeah.
But I think Baker's the issue. Baker, like, I think he's very good when the running game's going and their offense is like playing well, but he's not a guy that can pick a team up and carry them like a Carson Wentz or a Brady or Rodgers or Mahomes can do that. Like, that's the same issue I see with Lamar Jackson too. Is as great as he is as a talent, like physically, is I don't know if he's the quarterback that a team can like build around. Like, I think he's a very much a system guy, and he's the guy that you build the system around for sure. But I don't know if he's a guy that carries the team to the next level though.
I think he does. I think they would have blown the Eagles out this Sunday. Absolutely destroyed them. I was going into that game as an Eagles fan saying, as long as we lose by 10 points or less, I'm not that mad.
And you lose by 2, so.
And we lost by 2, so I can't really be that mad. But the Ravens absolutely destroyed themselves that game with all those penalties. They had almost 200 yards off penalties. That's insane.
Absolutely. And it's the penalties, and it's the fact that Lamar Jackson, I don't want to say he's getting figured out, like, for sure. But that's kind of what it seems like is happening. Like, remember the
offense is easier to
read. Remember 4 or 5 years ago when everybody was talking about how, like, who the hell's ever going to stop Cam Newton and the Panthers offense? You remember that? Cam Newton didn't make that. Cam Newton wasn't the same guy 2 years later. Like, I'm definitely not saying I want that to happen to Lamar, but, like, it could happen.
But he's going to have to develop.
He's going to need to develop. He's going to need to step up that arm a lot.
I agree. I think the more that he steps up his arm, you just get more options. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get more yard and stuff like that. Right now, he probably has one more season to get away with not having like the best arm ever.
Right.
And this is that season. Like, next season, if he doesn't have an arm, like, I think
they're going to figure him out. Yeah,
he'll be like a Cam. Yeah, he'll be like a Cam where you kind of are just like, oh well, we know what he's going to do, so we don't let him run.
Right. Let's rush him, make him do something.
I still think Cam Newton's a much better football player and like smarter. And I don't even want to say smarter because I don't know that much about it.
Well, he's a higher IQ.
It seems like even in Cam's early days in Carolina, he was out there, he was calling plays, he was making reads, he was like looking over the defense, calling audibles, and he was putting the team in better positions to win. Lamar Jackson's great at doing that with his feet and his body, but the best quarterbacks in the league, and more importantly, the quarterbacks that win in this league, are the guys who do that kind of stuff with their brains and adjust and make the plays easier for the team and not just try to pull something out of his ass like Lamar Jackson always does.
Right. And you look at the box score and you can tell their longest pass was 32 yards.
Well, if you look at just his...
That's not very far if you're thinking about it. A lot of these guys are throwing 60, 70-yard bombs at almost every game.
Well, the thing is, Drew Brees also doesn't pass more than 10 yards down the field, and their Saints are arguably the best team in the league, like you could argue. Like, Lamar Jackson's issue...
But that's how their offense operates, though.
Right.
They want to get those quick passes off. Lamar Jackson doesn't want to get the quick pass off.
No, but my point was Lamar Jackson's issues are about accuracy and making the right decisions. That's what my point was. Because that's where he needs to get better. Is because as great, like I said, as great as he is, he's a front running quarterback. He's a guy that he gets a lead on you, and he's like, well, good luck getting the lead back. But if he's down 5-10 points, I don't think he's not a guy that can hey, we're going to go out and win this game on my back, on my shoulders. Like, I'm not.
Right. It's a confidence.
I'm not saying
thing,
he can't do it. He hasn't shown it yet.
And I think that is why they lost to the Chiefs. Because
Yeah, it's why they always lose to the Chiefs.
Mahomes can do that. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, Mahomes can do that.
Right.
Like,
Mahomes has every option for you.
yeah, and like Lamar can't. And, you know, quiet as it's kept, you know, the Chiefs D-line isn't something to sleep on. So.
Chiefs D-line's very good. But the Chiefs match up great against the Ravens just in general is because the Chiefs are good at putting up quick points and big plays. They can do that against anybody. Mm-hmm. The Ravens aren't really outside of Lamar and maybe Hollywood Brown, they're not really an explosive offense. They're a very methodical and well-balanced offense. When they have like Dobbins and Ingram and was it Gus Edwards, I think is their third back. But they're a very good running team.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're great at getting 6-7 yards a run and putting together drives and then scoring 20-30 yard touchdowns. But they're not a team that can put up 14 points or 21 points in like 3 possessions in like 8 plays like the Chiefs can.
No, they don't have the same offense. They're similar, but the Chiefs just are way better.
Well, the Chiefs are also really...
But I think that's a lot of why the Eagles were able to stay in this game is because you have those crazy long plays that just the Ravens don't pull off.
No, and they give up. They give up a lot of them too.
74-yard run and a 50-yard pass.
Well,
that led us to scoring drives.
The Chiefs have not the Chiefs. The Chiefs are able to put up big plays too, and they're also good at playing from behind. And that's another thing. The Ravens are not good at playing from behind. Steelers, on the other hand,
they're behind, they start to struggle.
I could see the Steelers coming back on somebody. Especially on like somebody like the Ravens or the Titans. I don't see the Ravens getting down against the Chiefs or the Steelers or the Titans being down 14 points and coming back from it.
No, I think they get too much in their head, and then with a young quarterback, he's not used to that.
Well, like I said, Lamar's might be the best running quarterback we've ever seen, but he's definitely not the best throwing quarterback.
Whoa, yo, Michael Vick is alive and well, son. No.
I would take Lamar Jackson over Vick right now.
He broke Vick's record, didn't he?
He did, and Michael Vick, he congratulated
He broke
him.
Vick's record. He's bigger than Vick. He's stronger than Vick. He doesn't take hits like Vick did.
He doesn't take nearly as many hits, but that's what happens when you have a half competent O-line.
Listen, Michael Vick on the Hawks, the Falcons, was a different beast. That man was different. Even when he was on the Eagles, this man was different.
I agree. But at the end of the day, Vick didn't win games like Lamar does. Now, is Lamar on a much better coach team and a much better team and system for him? Absolutely.
1,000%.
And if Vick was in this situation and playing for the Ravens right now, I think he'd probably be right around the same player Lamar is right now.
You think?
Yeah, because Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the league. They have a good enough offensive line to run for. They have good enough running backs to have a good consistent run game. They have an awesome defense. I think Vick could be putting up similar numbers to Lamar.
I think he could just do it all, and he has a better arm than Lamar has right now. That's not saying Lamar can't have a better arm. You know, he's still very young, but at this moment in time, I'm taking Mike Vick.
Vick's arm is considered one of the best of all time, as his legs are. But his head, he was not a very high IQ, good reads kind of quarterback. He was I'm gonna force this in. I'm gonna try to make a play, which is great at times, but at the other times bites you in the ass. Lamar Jackson's he's pretty good about not forcing passes, and when he throws an interception, it's usually just a bad throw or a bad like tip pass or something. So I'll give Lamar the credit in that situation.
100%. But then you look at the current Eagles, offense. We have Carson Wentz as our starting quarterback. A lot of people are saying maybe we start Jalen Hurts. We're going to dismiss that right now.
Absolutely.
We're not going to start Jalen Hurts. He's not going to start.
No.
Carson Wentz is going to be one of the best quarterbacks ever when his career is done. I wholeheartedly do believe that. He hasn't had a single injury this season. Last season, he was pretty good up until the playoffs when it was a dirty hit that took him out.
Right.
So this whole fragile, we're going to toss that out the window because that's a lie.
Do y'all think that y'all should have kept Big Dick Nick?
No.
Okay.
No.
Here's my thing with Nick. We're never going to replace him. There's never going to be a better backup quarterback than Nick Foles. There's not. You saw the Ravens a little last year with RG3 as their backup, running the trick plays and stuff. No. Nobody's going to be better than I'm going to come off the bench right now and just win a Super Bowl for you without playing most of the year. Nobody else can do that.
Well, the thing is, Freddie, like you may not know this since you're not a lifelong Eagles fan like Donovan and me. Even when Donovan McNabb was here and leading us to 5 NFC title games in 8 years or something, Eagles fans still wanted the backup. They wanted Jeff Garcia or Coy Detmer or whoever the backup was every time McNabb didn't have a great game. It's just a Philadelphia thing. Nick Foles.
Yeah, Philly fans are wishy-washy sometimes.
I love them, and I am one, but they're terrible, and like I hope we stop running players out of town sometimes, because I think we do. I think that we don't help that. But what I was getting back to,
when a player is good, we love them.
We don't really let players develop and get together.
Shaky,
we don't let them get their shit together. Look at Andre Dillard right now. People are shit talking him, calling him a bust because he had 2 bad games at right tackle last year and got hurt before the season started. And people are telling him to kill himself on stuff like we can't be doing this.
That's insane.
But what I was getting back to is if the Eagles, like Nick Foles winning that Super Bowl was both the best thing and the worst thing for the Eagles. Because for the rest of their career,
yes, 100%.
Nick Foles is always going to be the hero, and Carson Wentz, until he wins a Super Bowl, will not be the hero in Philadelphia. And there's going to be a big section of...
The Eagles can definitely win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
I don't think they're far away.
We've just had way too many injuries.
They're not far away.
If we can have a healthy team, we compete in this league easily.
So do you think if you guys were healthy on Sunday that you guys would have beaten the Ravens?
We win that game.
I agree. We don't give up 9 sacks.
We had 2 possessions. That would have been touchdowns, but our receivers couldn't catch the ball. It slipped. Perfect throw right into their chest, into that pocket, and they dropped the pass
hit him in the hands both times.
If we make both of those passes, that's 14 easy points on the board. We don't have to go to 2.
It's tough to have this kind of revisionist history with games because it's like, the Eagles had 2 dropped touchdowns and a missed extra point or missed field goal that would have gave us 17 more points. Well, we also got to think that 4th and 8 pass to Fulgham in the end zone, that was pretty lucky for us to figure out. And you could argue it's just as lucky for the Ravens to have Sanders and Hightower drop those touchdowns as it is for Fulgham to catch it for us.
I would agree. But I think if we have those guys that have been in this situation before, it's just a conversation of, I've been there. Yeah. I'm not going to get shaken by the nerves. I know, hey, this is my quarterback. He likes to throw it this way.
Right.
But when you have those guys that aren't playing like that, you're not used to catching those passes. Well, you're not like,
I agree with that.
This is my route. Instinctively, I should look over my right shoulder instead of my left shoulder, because that's all it took for Miles Sanders to drop that pass, was looking over the wrong shoulder.
You're dead right. And I do think if it was Jackson out there instead of Hightower, both this week and last week in the Steelers game that he dropped the touchdown, I think Jackson makes both those catches, but he's not out. He's not out there to tell it. He's not out there to prove it to us. Hopefully, when he comes back, he's real good and he's able to finish the season off and play every game. Because I think with him, Rigor, and Dallas Goedert back, I think the Eagles we're close. Not to mention get a few.
We're gonna lose Zach Ertz.
Yeah, but if we're getting Goddard back,
2 to 3 weeks.
Well, we have a bye.
But we also are gonna lose Miles Sanders for at least a week.
Well, here's the thing: we play the Giants on Thursday, we play the Cowboys next Sunday, and then we have a bye.
Both, in my opinion, washes. I think we should easily if we do not beat the Giants, I think the team has to go back to a rebuild and figure something out. Because
what I was saying is
1 in 5.
No, I agree.
1 in 5 against teams that we should be beating is embarrassing.
Yet, if you look at it, the only bad loss we have this year is to the Washington, and we should have beat them. But if you look at it, Steelers and Ravens are 2 of their top teams in the entire league. The Rams had only lost 1 game going into last night. They were 4-1. The Bengals have been competitive every week. We could have won that game. We could have lost that game. So we're not looking great right now. Yeah, injuries are part of it. Yeah, we're having a lot of offensive line issues. Yeah. But we're going to get healthier. The offensive line's going to get better. If you look at it, the sacks they're giving up are not guys getting blown past besides this week. It's just all
I would debate. I think if we've had a few sacks that have just been guys aren't even getting touched and they're just going straight for
right, and that's not on the individual offensive lineman. It's not it's somebody missed a block because they're not communicating. And that's what happens when you have new offensive linemen playing against each other. The reason the Eagles...
Right, we have guys that are the third string.
Yeah, that's what happens. The Eagles' offensive line the last few years was so good, not just because each individual guy was really damn good, it was because they all played together and they all knew each other. These guys now, they may have the talent of a Brandon Brooks or a Lane Johnson, eventually, but they don't have the chemistry and they don't know, playing with each other, and they're not 100% sure on the blocking schemes and stuff. That's where a lot of these sacks are coming from. Outside of
comes down to
Yeah,
chemistry.
and that's going to get better as the year goes on. And like, we're not going to have offensive linemen getting hurt every week like this. Like, I just can't believe that was going to happen.
I would really hope so, because if we do, I don't know how much more I can take.
Because the thing is, you look at it, like, Jack Driscoll's been playing well on the tackle. Miolata's been pretty good at the left tackle.
He's been much better than I thought he was going to be, coming from a guy who never played football.
Well, the thing is, like, with offensive linemen, it's tough to tell how good they're playing, but if you don't hear their names all game, that means they're probably doing pretty well. The guy that was messing up this week was that right guard, was it Jahan Brown? But he gave up 4 sacks, and like there's like clips on Twitter of him just like having no idea what he's doing. And well, that kind of shit can't happen, obviously. And that kind of shit's going to get better with more communication, with more chemistry, and more consistency.
But, we're going to start getting people back, which will be really nice. Like, Will Parks made his debut, had 3 tackles, which was great for us.
Honestly...
But, we lose so many guys that it's hard to replace.
Last point I'll make about the Eagles was I think their defense looked decent yesterday. I'll say that.
I do, too. I think it looked much better.
They gave up 30 points, but...
That's what's keeping us in the game, though.
Yeah, I agree. Great point.
We only gave up 1 touchdown after the first quarter.
That's a good point.
In any other game, I'm a fan. That's great.
That's a great point,
We made them kick 3 field goals the rest of the game. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's a great point.
So are you already looking at next season then? Because I've seen the injury reserve list. And
have you seen our division?
I'm still looking at the end of the season.
Freddie, our division.
Division. No. Your division. Yeah, you guys are like the top of the division.
We're a half game out.
Still, it's mind blowing.
We're gonna make the playoffs.
We're a half game out, and we have 5 division games left. Realistically, we should win at least 4 of them. I'm not saying we won't win all 5. If we win at least 4 of them and win 2 other games and get to 7 wins, I think that'll win the division.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Like, I'm worried about it, obviously, but
will we do well in the playoffs?
I think we can win a playoff game because
you got to think we can win 1 or 2.
You got to think
before everybody else gets back, it's going to be hard. But
well, the thing is, like I said, we're going to be getting healthier as the year goes along. Like, there's a possibility Brandon Brooks might be coming back this year, from what I've heard. Like,
for real?
I've heard. Like, he might be back in like week 15 or 14. But if that happens, that happens and we're healthy when the playoffs come around, who's to say we can't go out to Seattle or to Green Bay and win that kind of game? Or you're saying we can't beat Chicago?
All right, Seattle. I'm saying we can't beat Seattle.
We could have beat
Seattle and Green Bay.
We could have beat Seattle last year. We could have beat Seattle last year in the playoffs if we had Wentz.
That's true.
Okay, so now that takes me to our next, game of Packers Bucks yesterday.
Ooh.
I don't know. See, Aaron Rodgers had a really bad game yesterday, but I still don't know if you can say that about the Eagles and them. Like, I think, Aaron Rodgers is still a bad man. You feel me? He had a bad game.
0 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a bad game.
2 interceptions.
Once he threw that pick 6, the game was over. Tom Brady saw the chink in the armor, and he went to work and ran that thing up, 38 of them.
Right.
But there was nobody on that team that was doing anything yardage-wide.
I think Tampa's really good.
Running backs, the longest.
Bro.
Okay, here's my issue with Tampa.
Okay.
I don't like Brady to start with.
Obviously.
I'll just put that out there. I don't like Brady.
Even now that he's not in the Patriots organization?
I like the Patriots more now with Cam Newton than I ever did with Tom Brady.
I agree with that.
I like Captain African America too.
No, I think my issue with the Bucks right now is I feel like they're just so old. Like, they have so many guys that are just so old, and then you have, like a few guys that are popping off that are, like, young.
You got Gronk, JPP.
LaShawn McCoy. Old.
Yeah, but LaShawn McCoy's he's not even their top 2 backs. They have
JPP also.
He's a rotational edge piece. He's a rotational edge rusher. Like,
JPP plays a lot.
Yeah, but he's still just a pass rusher, is my point, though. It's not like he's a middle linebacker or a safety.
You have a point. And then you have your 2 quote-unquote really good receivers in Godwin and Mike Evans.
Yeah, neither of them are that old.
But even he only had Mike Evans only had 1 catch for 10 yards.
Wait, are you saying those guys are old, or are you just saying they're overrated?
No. Those are their only really good young guys.
Nah, they have Shaq
point out.
Barrett on the defense is really good. Devin White's a stud. Ronald Jones has been pretty decent.
Devin White is
Their
tough.
offensive line's got 3 or 4 really good young players on it. Like I see what your point about Brady and Gronk being old, but other than that, like Leonard Fournette's not old.
He's still tough. Like when he got sent to the Bucks, I was like, oh, Tom Brady, like another weapon for Tom Brady. All right, word.
I mean, Antoine Winfield, their defensive back's been really good this year. Shaq Barrett, like I said, is really good. Cameron Brate's a decent tight end. Levante David's really good. Carlton Davis is another guy.
They have
a
pieces.
lot of.
They have a lot.
They
of
got
pieces.
a boy named Donovan on there, dude. How can you not support them?
That's true. I always supported Donovan McNabb just because of that. I think Aaron Rodgers has to be better though. Like he had a rough game, and you have your rough games, but that was bad.
Yeah, he
you
like
didn't even
broke
make half
down.
your passes.
Bro,
yeah,
Didn't make half your
even my
uncharacteristically
grandpa was
Rodgers
watching the game like, what is this man doing? Like, he can't hit anything, like nothing.
I think Green Bay will bounce back from that, so I'm not too super worried.
Yeah, I mean, that was their first loss of the season, so like I'm not tripping. I just, it's just sad because there's that comparison between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and like Tom Brady consistently has been spanking him, so it's very hard to root for Aaron Rodgers when Tom Brady is doing this.
Right.
And he did this when he was with the Patriots, and now he's got these older weapons, and he's still doing this to him. Like, it's just hard.
I'm looking up the Packers' schedule, right? Their next 4 weeks, they play at the Texans, they're home for the Vikings, at the Niners, and home for the Jaguars. That's probably 4 more wins for them.
Houston's going to be the only one to really give you too many
Maybe.
issues.
Houston, who knows how good they are right now.
Aren't they like 1-4?
Yeah, but I think they're very inconsistent right now. I don't think they have a ton of talent.
They're 1-5.
Yeah, 1-5. I think it'll be a high scoring game, but you expect the Packers to win that.
But I expected the Packers to win last week, so.
No, I get it, but at least Tampa Bay's a really good team, or at least like has a lot of talent, and like people expect them to be good. I'll say this: the Packers do have some tough games coming up, though. They got to play the Colts, Bears, and Eagles right in a row, and they still have to play the Bears another time, and they have to play the Titans. So they have some tough games coming up.
They just lost to the Titans.
Yeah, that's because Derrick Henry is he's that man.
Dude, Derrick Henry's good.
212 yards. Can you imagine?
Yo!
212 yards and 2 tutties, averaging pretty much 10 yards a carry.
Different.
That's great.
That helps.
You can't ask for anything more than that. There was a point where you just saw him start running, and guys just looked like they didn't even want to try to tackle him. He was just sunning kids.
I don't want to try to tackle him.
Stiff arm, sending you to the ground. I'm just going to lower my shoulder and run into you.
Speaking of the stiff arm, I mean, I know y'all saw Josh Norman.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Tossed like a toddler.
That was beautiful.
He's got a third son now.
That was beautiful.
That one hurt to watch. Looking at the freeze frame of his body just in the air like that, man.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of sad. But, we don't respect Josh Norman anyway.
Yeah, facts. I've been on the Odell side.
I do want to talk about Ryan Tannehill. I think he deserves more credit than he's going to get on this team.
Okay.
Ever. I think Derrick Henry absolutely outshines him as a running back, which is... You don't see that a lot. The running back outshining the quarterback just in terms of pure play.
Right.
But he's 30 for 41 with almost 400 yards that game and four touchdowns. That's a little different.
Ryan Tannehill is nice.
Different, man.
Ryan Tannehill is nice. It's just, I think when you have somebody like Derrick Henry, that's just going to get outshined because this man is a monster. I think there are certain times where like that's different, like when Marshawn was on the Seahawks and you had Russell Wilson, and like both of them were playing at an extremely high level, so you could just bounce back and forth and like giving them their respects. But like Ryan Tannehill is he's like you said, he's just low key right now. Like he's nice, but because Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, folks aren't really looking at Ryan Tannehill.
No, when you're throwing kids across the field and running 90-yard touchdowns, I'm looking at you too.
Yeah, exactly.
Another really close ending we had, the Bengals. I thought the Bengals had that.
That was a good
up until
game.
the very last second. I can't believe when they missed the field goal. He kicked, what was it, 54 yards and completely missed. That one hurt. And I think the Bengals should be way better than they are because they have pieces. You have Joe Mixon, you have Joe Burrow, and you have A.J. Green. Those three alone are going to give you pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
But, you know, Joe Burrow has lived up to the standard so far. He's 313 yards, didn't get a touchdown, and threw one interception.
I'm glad, too, because, you know, especially in recent years, it's a lot of times you'll see a quarterback just light them up in college, and then they become like who is that in the league? And Joe Burrow's transferred really well into the league, so I'm happy. Do you think the Bengals, like in another couple of years, you know, they make some moves? Do you think that they're going to be like a team to watch?
100%. If they can get a better O-line to protect Joe Burrow, he absolutely lights kids up. I think he can average 300 yards. But he's taking fair.
No, I agree.
Hits, man. Even just against
he's
bad
getting
teams,
beaten up pretty bad.
He's getting lit up.
Not as bad as Daniel Jones, but still,
it's getting there, and it hurts to see your franchise quarterback in his first year just getting absolutely demolished.
See, and they really got to watch that too because that's how Luck ended up retiring.
He was like, I'm over it.
He got beaten. They beat the love of the game out of him.
He said, "I'm going to take my money and leave. I'm done. I don't want to get hit again."
It's sad. It's
that
really
happens
sad
sometimes, Dean. That's why they were in the position to draft Burrow anyway. You look at the Colts. The Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the league and a really shitty quarterback or not great quarterback play, and yet they're in games. They're consistent. That also has to do with their defense, but they're arguably a quarterback away. That's why they're not up there drafting Burrow or Lawrence. That's why they're in the middle of the pack every year.
Le'Veon to the Chiefs, which I definitely wanted to get to because Patrick Mahomes has some of the best weapons a man could ask for right now.
The Chiefs are the Warriors of the NFL.
They're getting to be that.
I'm just gonna say it. They have everybody.
Yeah,
they're getting there. Yeah,
you have some of the best players at every position. You have some of the best running backs. You have arguably the best quarterback, and then you have just
a fire tight end at that.
All right. Arguably,
who do you think's better?
Arguably. Zach Ertz.
Donovan, man. I love Zach Ertz, but he is not. He's not been
good
this year.
No, we're not.
Dude, he has 150.
No.
He has 150 yards this year. Donovan, like he's.
Yeah, but that's just the offense. That's not him. He hasn't been getting touches, and you can even look at his targets. He hasn't been getting targeted a lot because he's getting. No,
I'm not saying he's not, but
he's still a better.
Travis Kelce's getting double too.
Not nearly as much as Zach.
I'm not. You may be right. I don't know the numbers, but if I could have either of the two, I'd rather have Kelce. Just because I think Kelce adds a little more after the run than Ertz can. I think Ertz is probably a better route runner and better situationally, like possession-wise. But at the end of the day, I do want somebody who can stretch the field a little bit too.
Okay, I won't say that Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the league right now, but I will say that I'm probably going to take him over Ertz. Just because,
Ertz also is not a good. Ertz also isn't a good blocker.
And listen,
that's not.
All right, that's a no. No, that's where I cut the line. That's crap.
He's not a good blocker.
Crap. Look at the film. Look at the film.
He's a good blocker.
Look at the film. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, I'll find. Look at the film. He's not a good blocker.
He protects Carson Wentz when he blocks more than most of those offensive linemen do. And that's undisputed.
I don't know about this.
You don't have to know. I'm telling you.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to go back and show him.
Hold on. Let me get a film session real quick.
Yeah, I'm looking into this.
No, I think Travis Kelce has more guys around him on the field that'll be able to make the play for Pat Mahomes.
Right, and I agree. I agree with this.
Zach Ertz is going to be the guy.
No, you're dead right about all
they're going to double team him almost every play.
You're dead right about all this.
But that's why we can make a lot of these offensive plays. Because we can shoot it down the field because there's two guys on Zach Ertz.
No, you're right.
Our rookies and our other guys maybe have one guy on them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought I read something about how Ertz wasn't getting doubled as much this year, but maybe I misread that. Because that makes sense.
But that's just because the Eagles suck. So.
Well, what you're saying makes sense. Like I'm looking at his stats now. He's the fourth most targeted guy in the league for tight ends. He's got the third most receptions.
Yes,
he's just got no yards. He's got 180 yards total this year. Like that's not great. He's 20th in the league.
The Eagles' offense is
and
hard
You're
to
right.
create
And if
for
the
them.
Eagles have more weapons on the outside, it definitely opens up the middle for him. Like, you're dead right about that. So that's why I'm saying I hope with him and Goddard and some of the receivers being back, that just opens up the field for everybody. And I think that will happen.
Oh, 100%. I think once we start getting guys back, it'll be a freer flowing offense.
Well, I think that
and not so, hey, we're gonna have to force the ball to somebody.
No, it's going to help the offensive line too, just because there's going to be a lot more less focus. There's not going to be guys stacking the box with 8-9 dudes anymore, like the Ravens did and the Steelers did against us.
Right, they're just gonna pass rush us and run at Carson.
Right, and what it also do, it also allows us to bring back the screens and the short passes that we usually have. That these guys who don't run with the full offense, they don't really know those plays, so it's tough to call them. Having the full offense in there, you're going to get a lot more screens, a lot more quick passes. It's going to look more like the offense we should be seeing. Because Doug Peterson himself even said it's tough to call plays that guys don't know.
No, you're right. I think that's the biggest thing with the injuries, honestly, because had you, like, with people getting injured every week and you're playing with a new team every week, like, how much chemistry are you really going to build if, you know, this is the first time that you've, like, seen this man?
Like, who are you?
You know
like, one of the guys who scored the touchdown for the Eagles has played 1% of snaps. 1%, and he has a touchdown on Kroom.
Exactly. Like, that type of thing. So I think, see, that's why I had asked, like, are you calling this a wash? Because, like, I know you guys are at the top of the division right now. So, like, you'll be making the playoffs. But that's why I still ask, like, would you consider this a wash? Because it's like, you know, the injured list is, like, ridiculously long. It looks like a CVS receipt.
There's 15, 20 guys on
we have by far the most injured players on any team in the league.
Yeah, and so I know it's hard to, you know, build chemistry out of that. So that's why I had asked that originally.
Let's look at week 7 real quick. So Thursday game, we got Giants Eagles.
I got the Eagles.
I'm taking the Eagles, even as injured as they
are. Eagles all day. Are you kidding me? Yo, Giants O-line is still trash.
We're not gonna jinx it. We're just really gonna hope that, you know, the Eagles don't.
Those games are always
have
close.
30 injuries and our entire team gets hurt.
Well, those games are always close.
So Sunday we got Steelers, Titans, both undefeated teams. One of these teams is coming out of here with a loss.
It won't be the Steelers. It won't be the Steelers. I can confidently say it won't be the Steelers.
Freddie, how's the Steelers' run defense been this year?
It's been all right.
It's not as good as their pass defense.
Yeah, definitely not. But, like, it's been all right.
Are they going to be able to stop Derrick Henry, though? That's my only question.
I could see it going either way.
See, I'm going to say yeah, but the thing is, like, you know, like the O-line in general has just been nice because every week somebody pops off and you don't know whose week it's going to be, which is really cool. So I want to say them.
I think the Steelers have the better quarterback.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big Ben is the truth. So I'm going to rock with the Steelers. Like, I really don't. It'll definitely be a close game, though. Like, it's not going to be like no 38-10. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like close. It's going to be, I think it's going to come down to like really the line. You feel me? So, but I still say Steelers all the way.
We also got Panthers, Saints.
I think the Saints win that.
Saints. I'm going to go Saints.
I don't think the Panthers been playing too well recently.
No, they're 3-3. Saints are 3-2. I think I have to give it to the Saints too. Teddy Bridgewater's good, but he's not good enough.
The Panthers they're still really young. They're still building their team. I think the Saints win it.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Christian McCaffrey injured?
He might be back this week, from what I heard. He was on like their short-term IR until week 6, so he's eligible to come back this week.
Just depends if he will.
I heard he's okay. I don't know. We'll see.
Then we got Seahawks, Cardinals. Seahawks, you know, the last undefeated team other than the Texans and the Steelers. Or, excuse me, the Titans and the Steelers.
Seahawks.
I think I take Seahawks.
I'd go Seahawks with that, yeah.
And I hate to say it because I think the Cardinals can be a really good team. But I think Russell Wilson is just going to light everybody up.
Always bet on black.
Hey,
all 4 of those teams in that NFC West are really good.
Oh no! I mean, no, that's true. That's true. Kyler Murray is definitely not something to sleep on.
And then we got 49ers, Pats, 3-3 49ers, and the 2-3 Pats. I think I give that to the Pats though because Cam Newton's back this week.
Okay.
tough.
Wasn't he? He was back last week. He lost yesterday.
Well, but he had Corona though.
Yeah, I think the Niners win that. I don't think the Patriots have much on offense besides Cam.
Yeah, the Pats have always struggled with their wide receivers though. Julian Edelman is your best receiver.
But see, the thing is though that Cam has been doing a lot with those same receivers.
He's been doing everything. He has the most rushing touchdowns on the team with 5.
Yeah, but see, I still feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect that they got to work through. That's still not to say like Cam has the same weapons as Brady and is, throwing the lights out of that motherfucker. So,
all right, and then our night game on Sunday, Bucks Raiders. Bucks 4-2, Raiders are 3-2. I think I give it to the Bucks.
Going Bucks. Yeah, I'm going Bucks.
I think the Raiders win that game.
Tom Brady.
Something about that old man ball.
Tom Brady and Derek Carr.
The Raiders.
Real old man ball.
Absolutely. I don't know. I think the Raiders are really underrated.
The Raiders are very underrated. I think they could definitely have a chance to win this game, but I think Brady is too comfortable in his offense for them to really disrupt him.
Brady does been looking good, but we'll see. Gruden's been coaching up well this year. I'm not saying they're better than the Bucks talent-wise, but who knows? They beat the Chiefs already this year.
And then our Monday game, Bears-Rams. The Bears are 5-1. The Rams are 4-2. I kind of want to give it to the Rams.
I do too. I said Rams last week and I was wrong and I'm tight, but I'm going to say Rams again. I'm doubling down.
The Bears have a really good defense.
They do have a really good defense. I was going to say, I don't know how they're winning all these games.
Jared Goff.
Like, obviously they're scoring more points than the opponents, but
that is how you win.
It doesn't seem like the Bears are blowing people out and winning games easily.
No, they haven't been blowing people out, but they've been pretty comfortable. All their game. Let me rephrase. All of their games have been super close, within 10 points or less.
Yeah, so those are games they not easily, but they theoretically could have lost as well.
Oh, 100%. It just comes down to the end of the game for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it to the Rams as well. I think that'll be a good game.
So, we've had a lot of coaching changes in the NBA. Most notably for me, Doc Rivers to the Sixers.
I like it.
Yes,
I am so happy.
I've been saying y'all will be getting strong second round team. Y'all will definitely be in the second round every year.
Second round easy, but we have to be in the conference finals at least this year. If we're not in the conference finals this year, I'll be kind of disappointed.
It'll be interesting to see how teams take into the offseason. There's some teams out there that could make some trades that we're not really expecting. Like you could see Boston or somebody trading a piece to try to change something out there too.
Oh, I don't think Boston changes anything. Hot take. I think they go with the exact same lineup next year.
I don't know.
I agree. They're close. They just need a little bit more experience.
Maybe. I don't know.
Right. And, Kemba was streaky all offseason or all postseason.
Well, that's the thing I think about that hurts the Celtics is they got 3 guys that can score realistically.
But only 2 of them that are halfway consistent.
But but the issue is when they came down to the Heat, they were doing I think I had said this about the Rockets too. They were doing okay, you go score it, then I'm going to score.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is
they don't
have I don't want to say they don't have a system, but they don't have role players and.
No, it's because everybody on that team is a quote unquote star. So it's hard to have that guy that's all right, I'm just gonna come off the bench and give you 15.
There's no reason Gordon Hayward couldn't be putting up the same points and playing a similar role to Tyler Hero was doing for the Heat. When he was coming off the bench.
And he was his first season with them. He was coming off the bench for a while because he was coming off that injury.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like that's what he wants to do anymore.
No, but you're paying him all that money, so you kind of have to play him.
I'm not saying don't play him,
but you all this money to sit on.
But I'm saying is give him a different role. Give him the Marcus Smart role. Marcus Smart's kind of their sixth man, kind of their leader of that second group. That should be Hayward.
I mean, but he's been starting now because his defense is too good to ignore.
For the playoffs, I get that.
Yeah, he gives you a strong boost.
Because
none
of
off
those
the
other
bench.
guys on the Celtics are really defensive minded like that.
No, that's why I'm saying is I would start him and then run Hayward off the bench instead. Because if I was the Celtics, I'd run Kemba, Jalen, Marcus Smart, Tatum, and then I guess Theis or whoever their big is. Just
Daniel Theis.
No, it'll probably be Theis.
I don't know who it is. I'm not saying it's going to be Theis, but it could be whoever it is. And then bring off the bench. You bring off Hayward, and then whoever else your bench players are. Just have Hayward essentially be the Lou Williams of the team.
They're not going to do that.
I'm just saying that's how I would run it. I'm not saying they will.
Speaking of Lue, Ty Lue, official new coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. I saw it coming. As soon as he was hired as an assistant last year, I was like, Doc's either going to win or he's going to leave, and Ty Lue's going to be the new coach. He's too good of a coach.
Sam Cassell is still there, right?
Sam Cassell is still there. He has.
I thought he was going to get the Rockets job, and I still kind of think he might.
It's still open.
I think I'm going to call that now. I think Sam Cassell goes to the Rockets. I think that's their pick.
You don't think Van Gundy is going to be the guy?
I could see them hiring Van Gundy.
I think it might be Van Gundy. I think Van Gundy. Hot take.
I would hire Sam Cassell over Van Gundy.
Really?
Sam Cassell, from what I've read and heard, is like the next Steve Kerr, in that he's a fantastic coach with the players, and he's able to he knows the game,
yes,
and he's able to get through to the players and have them buy into his system. From what I've heard, is he was the guy that was working with the Clippers the last.
But Steve Kerr is a players guy. He's not an X's and O's guy, and I think with the Rockets, you kind of need your X's and O's because you went with the 5-out.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is Sam Cassell's the players guy with some X's and O's.
I think Van Gundy's X's and O's are going to be 1,000 times better though. But that's just personal preference.
You may be right, but I don't know how Van Gundy's going to be able to handle Westbrook and Harden on the same team. I think Sam Cassell.
I think one of them is gone. I think one of them is gone this offseason.
Interesting. Okay, who do you think is going to be gone?
No way. Are you kidding me?
I think they're gone. Depending on who they have as the new head coach,
Wow.
I think the 5-out system is gone.
I think the 5-out system may be gone.
It did not work.
Yeah, but I still don't think that was the system. I think that was the players they had.
Daryl Morey stepped down.
He did.
So you no longer have the GM that was, committed to that style of play, and you no longer have the coach that was committed to that style of play. They're going to have to be a whole new offense next year. They're going to have to.
Yeah.
Because we saw, that won't work against a legit team. It won't. There's too many guys that are going to come close out, and especially with everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people playing small ball, it's hard to have that 5-out system. If you have a big that's not going to leave the paint, you're perfect. I'm going to drive and kick it out for the easy 3 every time. Mm-hmm. But we're not seeing that anymore. We're seeing bigs come out and go, okay, I'll guard you on the 3-point line. Like Joel Embiid, he's not going to camp in the paint the whole time. If he sees you, he's going to come clamp you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it's a little bit of both, but I definitely see why someone wouldn't buy into the 5-out. I think it could work.
I don't think anybody really wants Westbrook, so.
I don't either. I think that's an issue.
I think he's a hard sell now.
It sucks.
A year or 2 ago, easy sell.
But the thing is, though, I think that for a lot of teams, it would make more sense to keep what you have just because of how wild this season has been and all of the ups and downs. Like, you don't even know what you really could have done because of the bubble, and a lot of teams didn't have all their pieces. So I think that it makes the most sense for a lot of teams that this was like their first play, that they run it back again next season in like the regular format just to see how things are then. Like, that makes sense to me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But obviously a lot of folks aren't going to do that. And one of those things, I think the Rockets should run it back with somebody who knows how to actually, draw up the offense.
I understand.
I see that.
Other new notable coaches, Steve Nash to the Nets. This happened a little while ago, but we haven't talked about it, and I think it's a really good hire. I think he hasn't professionally coached before, but I think he's one of the best point guards, in the history of the game.
Ever, yeah.
And he's got the smarts for it. I don't know what his X's and O's are going to look like, but if you're a point guard and have a high IQ, you've got to know a little something. I mean, and you have
he'll figure something
KD
out.
And Kyrie.
Oh, 100%. Kyrie isn't like the best facilitator. He's definitely all about just like going in for the kill and scoring first. I think with Steve Nash being there, it's a new voice telling him to facilitate a little bit more. So he might be a little bit more prone to accepting it. And also, he did say on like KD's podcast, they don't have a head coach, that this is a collaborative effort.
I could agree with that.
I feel like that's maybe I listen to you, you listen to me, not so much I'm going to go out there and get 30 and whoever else, however you get your points, that's how you get your points.
I mean, that's understandable, though, but they don't really have a guard that's going to facilitate for them. So if Kyrie doesn't step up, they're going to have a lot of issues.
Don't they have Dinwiddie, or are they trying to move him?
No, they still have Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is going to stay.
But I think he is going to be one of the first pieces they move.
If I kept Dinwiddie and Irving, I would move Irving to the 2 and have him run off ball, kind of like Iverson used to.
Nope.
Because I think Irving's elite off the ball as well, and I think a lot of his issue is the fact that he tries to play hero ball and isolate on everybody. When if you got him some easy buckets, get him into a rhythm a little quicker, kind of like how they do with. That's not how he likes
to play, though. You can't force him to play like that if he doesn't like to play like that.
It's not. I'm not saying he's going to give up the ball the entire game. I'm not saying he's not going to handle the ball a lot. What I'm saying is you can still run the offense through him and KD, but have Dinwiddie be the one facilitating. Because Kyrie's a great isolator. I don't see Kyrie as a facilitator in like an offense general, or like a floor general.
But either Spencer Dinwiddie.
I thought the same thing, because when like there's been a lot of situations that we've seen in history where somebody was like a 2 or a 1, and then you switch them and now their productivity goes through the roof, like James Harden, for example.
Right.
He's a 2, you switch him to the 1, now it's like, oh my God. And then, you switch him back to the 2 and he's able to adjust not as poorly as how he was before. I've been saying this, like I definitely feel like Kyrie needs to be a 2. And, he won't get as much flack for not passing if he's a 2. And he has just a bunch of the plays drawn up for him. So, no, I've been saying that since, like, Boston. I felt like that's how it should have been run. I completely agree with you, Connor.
And when he was at his he was at his best when he was with LeBron, who was running the show and facilitating.
Yeah.
Kyrie was not the facilitator and offense general for those Cleveland teams where he was really good. He was the second. I don't even want to call him the second guy because he was really good.
He was.
But he'll be the second guy to Durant. And you got to say, if we're going to run this offense through Durant and have Dinwiddie be the point, that takes a lot of pressure off Kyrie and allows him to do what he's best at, which is getting to the rack and putting up points.
I mean, I also don't think the Nets team we're seeing right now in the offseason is going to be the team that they start with. I think they're going to make a lot of moves.
I could see that, but I could also see them just saying, let's see where we're at. We were the 7th seed in the East last year without Kyrie and KD for most of the year. A lot of their players have experience playing together. I don't know. I could see them running it back with most of this team.
I would.
All right, so let me give you a hypothetical 5 for the Nets here. So you're going to start Spencer Dinwiddie at the 1,
right?
Kyrie at the 2,
yeah.
Karis LeVert at the 3,
okay.
KD at your 4, and Jarrett Allen at your 5.
I like it. I would run. Okay, so I would put Joe Harris at the 3 and put LeVert on the bench just to give LeVert kind of the like the 6-man role and like the bench scoring option, just because I think Harris is a little better spot up 3 and D guy than LeVert is. I think LeVert's real good, but I see LeVert as more of a create your own shot kind of guy, where that's a valuable piece to have off the bench.
I think right now my issue with the Nets is they have so many guards and not enough forwards. They have so many spotty forwards. They were playing Wilson Chandler all those minutes.
Right.
Ooh, that's not gonna cut it. Garrett Temple was getting a lot of minutes. He's coming in.
No, you're right.
Still not too great. Other than that, you don't really have a forward that's gonna come off the bench and light up. So you're gonna have to start moving some of your guards to the 3.
Donovan, if only there was a big stretch 5 that played in Philadelphia who was trying to get rid of.
Wow, if only there was a powerhouse 4.
And if only there was a team that needed a point guard or a shooting guard that creates its own shot off the dribble. If only there was that team out there that had that could shoot the 3 and could be like the defensive anchor.
Do we happen to be talking about the milkman, Al Horford?
We are absolutely talking about Al Horford. I could see Al Horford.
He's gotta go, man.
I agree.
The Sixers need to move him right now.
Oh boy, here we go.
I agree, and I think
no. Whoa. First of all,
I was gonna say I think Al Horford goes to the Nets. I think that happens.
Let me be a delusional Sixers fan for a second. In my mind, the first trade that I think comes as soon as we figure out our front office, Al Horford for Buddy Hield. I think that's a shoe-in. I think that's locked in. And maybe I'm crazy.
That, but I want Buddy Hield on the Lakers.
Yeah, get out of here, super team, whatever. We're going to have everybody who hasn't won a ring yet, come to the Lakers. LeBron.
I heard Derrick Rose is going to the Lakers.
If he goes to the...
I'm fine with that.
No, bro, because I wanted Derrick Rose to go to the Lakers before, and it didn't happen.
I definitely don't think it's going to happen.
Well. Yeah, but Derrick Rose is starting to get older, and Rondo's not going to be in the league much longer.
Yeah, he's the new Rondo.
Oh no! I don't want to call him that.
Are you?
Not the new Rondo.
I'm talking about role. I'm talking about the role.
Where he...
I'm talking about the role on the team. Is he's the point guard and kind of not necessarily their third option, but he kind of their backup playmaker behind LeBron.
Their backup facilitator.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I can understand that.
Because I'm not saying Rose is equivalent to Rondo talent-wise. I'm saying that's the role they're going to play. Same with Buddy. Okay. Buddy Hield would be the new Danny Green, realistically.
I can respect that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But makes some more shots and doesn't get death threats, hopefully.
I could see Buddy Hield putting up Danny Green-like performances in the playoffs, honestly. He's very streaky.
Which is why I want him on the Sixers, because
I agree.
I
wanted Danny Green on the
because he's gonna give you good defense and he's gonna hit the three finally. Somebody who can hit a three.
Hield's not a defensive player. Buddy Hield's not. He's a borderline liability on defense.
I wouldn't go that far.
So was JJ Redick.
I wouldn't go that far.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they got rid of him for it. And I think that was a mistake, too.
That's not why we... Oh, hold on. That is not why we got rid of him.
That's why they got rid of him. That is why they got rid of him.
We got rid of JJ Redick because we couldn't afford him. Yeah, JJ Redick wanted so much money, and the Sixers were like...
Yeah, and we gave that money to Al Horford instead, which means we prioritized Al Horford's defense. Yeah, we prioritized Al Horford's defense over JJ Redick's shooting.
But see, I don't think that Buddy Hield is as much a liability as you're saying. And you also got to peep, Doc is a pretty defensive-minded coach. I definitely feel like he can step Buddy Hield's weaknesses on defense.
I hope he can.
So that way he's not a whole, his PER is just in the drain when it comes to defense.
Right.
No, I see what you're saying.
Buddy Hield, I would like Buddy Hield to go elsewhere, but Buddy Hield to the Sixers, I think that is a piece that you guys could definitely work with.
I would throw in Josh Richardson and ask for Harrison Barnes, too.
No.
I don't want Josh Richardson.
You're tripping.
I don't want any part of Harrison Barnes.
Are you serious? Harrison Barnes? For what reason?
I don't want
just because he's another long wing defender who can shoot a three every now and then. That's literally it. I think he's better than... I would rather have him over...
Josh Richardson.
I would rather have him over Richardson, yeah.
I would not. They play different positions, which is going to be.
I know, but if they're
starting two,
I consider them both starting. I consider them both wing players.
I can respect that. I think you lose too much with Josh Richardson there, though. He creates his own shot. He can get open. He can hit the open three.
Here's the thing: is Richardson doesn't really create his own shot, though. That's the issue.
He did, though. Not the beginning of the season, but towards the end, he really started to, because he was getting comfortable in our offense.
Our front office does not look at... I don't think they look at the analytics right. They look at Tobias Harris and see that he's a 38% three-point shooter on 7 attempts, which is a lot different than the 4 attempts that he'll be getting in Philly, when he's probably closer to a 30% shooter. So it's stuff like that they don't look at. They don't look at Josh Richardson and see that he's not a spot-up shooter and he's more of a off-the-ball dribbler. It's that kind of stuff that they just look at him and they're not fits for the team. I think Josh Richardson's a good player. I don't think he fits on the Sixers alongside Simmons and Embiid, just because Richardson's not a ball handler. He's not a creator. He's a off-the-ball guy who has to dribble in and shoot. He's similar. He's really similar to Tobias Harris.
I think you need him because there's nobody else that really does that. Tobias Harris does that a little bit, but I think Tobias Harris... That's why I'm excited about Doc, though. Tobias Harris had the best career numbers he's ever had while being coached by Doc in the Clippers.
He was also the number one option on those teams, though. He was the top. He was taking the most shots on those Clippers. That Clippers team, remember?
Right, and he'll take the second most shots on the Sixers. And Ben Simmons isn't taking shots. We know that.
I see.
We'll be lucky if Ben takes 10 shots a night.
Do you think? Okay, but do you think that Doc is going to make Ben shoot more?
Yes, and I'm so here for it.
I think he will.
I'm here for it.
I think a lot of that's just mental with Simmons. You look at his form.
Well, we can see,
he's got the form. He's got the shot. It's just mental.
Yeah.
It sucks and it's really weird and bizarre, but I don't think it's unsolvable.
It was just one of those things that came down to if he didn't need to take the shot, why would he?
Yeah, it's stupid. I think it's silly. It's really hurting the team, and he needs to fix it, and I think he will. Like, he addresses that he's going to fix it, he's going to help it, but we'll see if he does.
How many years can you say you're going to fix it and not fix it, though?
I don't know. How many years did it take LeBron?
I mean, after he got a second title, that shit was nice.
Yeah, but that wasn't until he was in Miami.
He was 27 by that point.
Yeah, because he signed his...
Took him 6 years to start shooting consistently.
Okay, but Bron has been Bron. You feel me?
Yeah, Ben Simmons.
But if we look at the way they play, Ben Simmons is so close to playing like LeBron. And I'm not saying he'll ever be as good as LeBron because that's very hard. But they have the same play style. He has the facilitating. He has, I can drive in there and just yam on you. He has the vision. He has the IQ. The only thing he's missing is a half decent shot.
It doesn't even need to be a 3-point shot either. It just needs to be a mid-range.
No, it doesn't have to be 3. I'll take a pop mid-range. Easy.
My dad's compared him to Magic Johnson since the beginning of his career, just play style-wise.
That's Ben's
play style-wise. Play style-wise.
No. I know. But I'm just still like... I mean, okay, I get that because, like, Magic was passed first.
Magic's a 6'9", 240-pound... facilitating, point forward. That's exactly what Ben Simmons is.
Yeah. No, okay.
Like, I'm not saying Ben Simmons is on the level of Magic Johnson. I think Magic Johnson's mentality and, his mental game is a lot better than Simmons. But talent-wise, you could argue they're very similar. When Magic got into the league, he had no jump shot at all. Like, he didn't take any jump shots, similar to Simmons. And he eventually, developed, an 18-foot set shot that was pretty good. Like, he made, I think, roughly 40% of them, but that's what really opened up his game, and that's when he started becoming the best player in the league, is when he developed just a decent mid-range game. Like, the NBA's gone so heavy against the mid-range lately, where if you can hit the shot and you get the 2 points, get them. So, the mid-range game isn't dead, and it could have a little bit of a renaissance if, teams could figure it out. To, mix the two.
And I think that's one thing that Tobias Harris really needs to pick up on is his mid-range. He has good mid-range, but he's so much more likely to drive than take the pick and pop.
Well, actually, I would say Harris needs to improve his 3-out, I would say more, because I think his mid-range is that's his go-to. If he can develop a 3-pointer where people have to step out on him, and he can take a quick dribble and get a nice 15 shot, that's going to open up his game a ton more, too. So I think
I agree.
I think Harris needs to get Simmons and teach him the mid-range game, and Harris needs to just hit a few more threes every game, or not even every game, but just up his percentage a little bit to where people have to come out on him a little harder, and he can go by them, or he can post them up more. That's what Harris needs to do. And I think having somebody like Rivers, where he's going to get a few more open shots every game, more than Brett Brown would get them, I think that's going to help him too. So you said earlier that Rivers was great for Harris, and I do think he will make him better.
I agree.
I think fundamentally Doc is just a better coach, though. Credit to Brett Brown. He did what he could with what he was given, but Doc's...
Brett Brown always felt like the process guy to me. As much as I liked him, he was the guy that was to get us to the coach that wins us the title.
Right. Well, and he always knew that. That was the key since day one. They were like, look, you're going to have a crap team, and we're going to be rebuilding the entire time you're here.
We're going to give you a leash. Yeah, we're going to give you a leash, make some of these guys good, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Right. Try to develop as many of these guys you could, and we'll write you a good letter of recommendation. I really hope he gets picked up, though. I really hope Brett Brown gets picked up.
He
I
also...
think it's going to be hard because there's so many good coaches out there right now.
He's one of those guys that could just end up coaching a national team for the Olympics too.
He just got cut from the Australian national team. I don't know if you heard about that, but
he was the coach.
He's no longer the head coach of Australians.
Yeah, it's like I'm not saying he's going to be an NBA coach again, because he might be, but I could see him just doing that. I don't know. It seems like he was pretty burnt out by the end of the time with the Sixers anyway.
I think it was just a lot mentally to take on.
I don't think that Brett Brown is going to get picked up this season.
No, not this season. Maybe as an assistant, which I wouldn't hate to see.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a lot more likely, especially with, what folks are trying to do now.
Well, he's really good at developing talent. If you look at it, he's really good at that.
Yeah.
He is. The Sixers just never kept the talent.
That's an
I
issue,
think that
yeah.
if he goes to like New Orleans as an assistant, that would be pretty cool.
I would like that. I think he would do wonders for Zion and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, I could. That's a good fit. I could see that.
But I don't know. I'm excited to see, what other moves come this offseason because there's still a lot of teams without coaches. So this week on the Culture Corner, we're going to be talking about Kanye West and his presidential bid. Kanye, I don't know what he's doing. I'm confused. I'm hurt. I'm scared. He's just all over the place. And is this a real presidential
bid? Yeah, it is. And I agree. I am scared too because you got a lot of folks who are, they're more likely to do this whole Harambe thing all over again because, and D's nuts, voting for D's nuts because everybody's like, oh my God, Kanye, the birthday party. It's everybody's birthday every day. Like, bro, no. Are you serious? Like right now, there's so much going on that him being like the distraction that he is terrifying because it's like in the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy when Rocket is like, okay, Groot, don't press this button. You need to press this button. And Groot's like, press this button. And like they're going through that thing again. And you're like just trusting that everybody's life is now dependent on this person that you don't know if they really understand what's going on to make the right decision. That's kind of like where we're all at right now. And I
feel like he has to, though. He has to know what he's doing.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
So.
I have two things.
Like you're taking votes away from both parties, which that's he could spoil the entire election.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say about this: is one, I think this is an album release tactic. He's not the first one to do this exact stunt. For one, Mr. Hulk Hogan ran for president in 2000, and that was just a big WCW angle eventually, but it was still a real presidential bid. Joe Walsh in 1980 ran for president just to release one of his first albums after leaving the Eagles. Like, this kind of shit happens all the time. And Kanye himself is known for doing this exact kind of shit, too. He always drops an album after he does something crazy or says something wild. Like, it's just what he does. The second thing I'll say is, I do think Kanye has good intentions for his presidential campaign. I think he's off his meds or he's not feeling well mentally, and it's not an excuse for what he says or how he acts, but it's definitely an explanation. Because if you look at a lot of the shit he's doing and what he's been doing with Yeezy and Adidas, like, that's a lot of stuff that's good for the world. Like, a lot of the stuff he's, like, tweeting and releasing pictures of online that looks, like, ugly as hell, and you're like, what the hell is that for? A lot of that stuff's, like, some of the stuff he's sending over to Africa and other, not just third world places, but people who need shoes and need clothes. He's making, like, really sustainable and, like, cheap stuff for them. And people are just clowning it because it doesn't look, like, fashionable to what we wear. So it's stuff like that and his stuff with him. I think he also has a tough time wording things, too. Like, I think for him, his entire life, the reason he's so dedicated to music is because that's his way of expressing how he really feels and how he really... and what he's trying to say. Similar to how many artists do it. And when he just tries to talk and... Yeah, and when he tries to talk and use his words, he's never been great at that. Like, 15 years ago or whatever, when he said George Bush doesn't care about black people, people were like, Kanye's such a savage. It's like, no, he's never been good at expressing what he wants to say or how he really feels.
He might have meant that, but I don't think it meant to come out like that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's how I feel about almost everything he says.
But I think that's what makes it even more dangerous. The fact that he's so famous and has such
influence over people, everybody hears what he says and they take it for verbatim, and like they don't think about like what he's trying to say. And I think that's important too.
But I think this is it's not the way to do it. It's not.
I agree.
I agree with that. Like I said, I think it's an album release
tactic. Him and his relationship with Donald Trump is one thing, but it's bigger than you, Kanye. It's bigger than him. At the end of the day, this is about the entire country. This isn't, Kanye, I'm going to come make a couple more $1 million because I want to be president. Like, no, Kanye, real things are happening here. People's lives are at stakes.
I legit think Kanye wants to be president because he wants to help people. I legit think that's why he's running for president. I think he's also so self-absorbed as to why he wants to help people, and that he can't really realize that him running for president's not helping. But I think deep in his heart and his intentions, he wants to help the country and he wants to help people.
I think he does want to help people.
So, and that's the tricky situation, and that's why I get why a lot of people are really scared and confused by this dude. I get it. Like, you know, I'm a huge Kanye supporter and Kanye fan. I'm confused as hell by the dude too. But when I listen to his music, I kind of get a sense of where he's at in his life and where he's at in his mentality.
That's true.
Because I think music's the only thing he's got really anymore. It's the only thing that he can really control and has like a firm grasp over and can still like make and do the way he wants.
Yeah, but I feel like he can do that with his clothes too. Like Adidas has given him the blank check, and he's been able to, he can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Like he's basically the kid in the candy store.
Not even just Adidas.
Yeah, and those are the two aspects of his life where he's still fairly successful and still fairly well thought of.
I would say more than fairly,
But yeah, I'm just talking about recently with his music. It hasn't been as popular as it used to be, but it's still relatively well thought of.
He'll always be kind
of. You don't really. Yeah, and I think that's. I don't want to say he needs to stick to the music because it's a double-edged sword when you tell people to stick to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't want him to stick to the music. That's not how art in general works. You shouldn't tell artists to stop doing things that they're passionate about and that are going to make them different people. Because at the end of the day, art is just an expression of who you are as a person at this time in this time period in your life.
I agree.
You look at like Watch the Throne, and that whole album's about how Jay-Z and Kanye are kind of this is their last club night in a way before they go off and get married and have kids and start to become businessmen and family men.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole album's about. They couldn't have made that album in 2003. No. They couldn't have made that album last year. That album could really only have been made that way at that time in their lives. And so to tell artists and musicians and somebody like Kanye who puts that much personality and effort and care and love into his stuff to stop doing things and to stop being who he is, that's kind of dangerous to art as I guess I don't want to say an art form, but as just the media in general, is to censor that kind of stuff. I think I've never supported that in general.
I mean, even taking that outside of just music and art, we see football, we see basketball. You remember Shut Up and Dribble.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really tell people to stick to one thing because we're human and we evolve, Like, we move on with our lives. We can't be stuck in one area of our life forever because that's just not how we work. I think this just isn't the right way for Kanye to express himself.
I was going to say, I think retroactively, I think you had a pretty fair point, Con, of just about how, like, that album coming out at the time that it did, I would even stretch it to say, like, you maybe got plus 2 years to drop Watch the Throne, but you definitely can't do that past 2013. And, by the time that you get to Yeezus, Kanye is already transitioning into a different headspace. Like, that's kind of the last album of him being in the headspace he was in at that time. But
having kids and getting married changes people.
For sure.
And I think that's very reflective in Kanye's work, too.
I agree. But I hear what y'all are saying, too. I definitely think, though, that you have to really look at how messy things are from top to bottom. Like, one thing about this year and about the pandemic is that everything has been exposed, from the...
Everything's under a microscope now, for sure.
Yeah, like, from the, microaggressions and the racist infrastructures to society and that we know and live in and stuff like that, that's been exposed. And with all of that being unearthed from under the rug, there's been protests going on since like May. The economy is in the toilet. We're still going through the pandemic. Foreign policy, we're not doing too hot. Yeah, like all across the board, we are not doing good. And for Kanye too, I know he has like good intentions, but for him to do this now is just not good. Like, I feel like him having good, good intentions with him being like him sitting back and then maybe endorsing Joe Biden or something like that. Or
I mean, he won't
or trying to lobby and like get certain bills passed. Like I honestly think that's probably his best bet is just lobbying and trying to get bills passed instead of like. And you know you're right because then he was trying to do that with Trump.
Well, I'm saying, isn't that what him and Kim did? And didn't he say that's why he put on the red hats to get those people down in Florida out of jail?
I want to talk about that actually. Kim has not publicly supported Kanye in any of his presidential campaign stuff. None of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a legit thing.
Well, you see, the other Kardashians have been, vote for Kanye hats and, write in Kanye. But his own wife has not supported him in this. And I think it's weird.
She supports him.
Interesting.
And I think it's weird that we have seen Kim do more for the black community than we've seen Kanye do in the past couple years. Kim's out here preaching prison reform and helping people get out of jail. What have we seen Kanye do? Piggyback with Kim, okay, and then meet with Trump and not get much accomplished.
Well, I have a question about that, Don. If Kanye's out there making clothes and shoes for poor kids in Africa and Chicago and predominantly black areas, which he is giving them to, is that not the physical side of what Kim's doing on the law side of it? Considering Kim is the lawyer in the house.
I think it is, and that's a great thing that he's doing.
Yeah, I was saying that's just the physical, like, day-to-day thing. Because there's short-term and there's long-term solutions for a lot of issues.
I think it is
Kanye
very short-term.
seems more like he's handling the short-term. Yeah. And those are important, too.
Right, that is important. But at this moment in time, we need more long-term solutions. And Kim's the only one out of that family that's been giving us that. And that's weird.
Yeah, and my point is, if Kim and Kanye are a team, which they say that they have, it's very possible that Kanye's the big picture, like, if I win as president, everybody's going to get Yeezys kind of guy. And Kim's the, all right, well, here's how we need to make this work in the real world. Because say what you want about Kim, Kim's a really smart person. She slept with Ray J and turned that into $1 billion. I don't think I could do that. I don't know if any of you guys could sleep with Ray J and become billionaires. Like, probably Kim's a smart person.
Never know till you try.
Right. I'm not going to try. I don't know. Ray J's not my type. But Kim's in law school. She's very close to, if not already, a lawyer.
No, she's getting ready for the bar right now.
Yeah, I didn't know if she passed it yet. But my point was, she may be the logistics and the like the law and the process kind of. Yeah, I don't even know if I want to say brains because it's, I guess, the more logistics and like the more paperwork side of it.
Right.
And she's the one that's meeting with congressmen and meeting with people and doing all the busy work kind of. While Kanye's more of the PR person and the ideas person. Because I think they work very well as a team, and I do agree that it's interesting that Kim hasn't endorsed him for president yet. Because I don't think he's really running. Like, I think he thinks he is.
I think he is really running. I just don't think he will go anywhere with it. If he gets 2%, 3% of the votes, I'll be very surprised.
I don't think he's going to even get that. And the other thing, people saying about how he's taking away votes from Biden. I don't get that either, because like Biden has to earn those votes. They just don't go to him if somebody's not voting for Trump. Biden's people that would vote for Kanye likely wouldn't be voting for Biden regardless either way, because they would just vote for him. Nobody's going to go to.
Yeah,
I don't think there's many people out there who's like, it's either Kanye or Biden. For most people, I think that are voting.
No. I don't like either of these options, so I'm going to vote for the outlandish third party.
Kanye.
Yeah, and my point is Biden/Trump have to convince those people to vote for it. Those votes don't just go to the other side if they don't like Trump, hypothetically. And that's my point is we should be focusing more on convincing those fringe and potential non-voters to vote for Biden or vote for Trump, whatever side you're on. That's what the focus should be on. It shouldn't be just telling and saying, don't vote for Kanye, because you know what happened the last time we as a society told everyone. Well, it's remember the last time we told a bunch of people in the country to not vote for somebody at presidency? You guys remember what happened that time? Yes. Like Trump got elected. That's what happened. We as a country, and I don't even want to say the city people, but it seems like that's how it broke down, is that the coastal people kind of said, oh, well, you're an idiot if you vote for Trump, and like you don't think your vote's stupid if you vote for Trump. That's the whole thing Trump ran on. Trump ran on this platform of, well, I'm going to go after the people who the government hasn't cared about in a while. And that's the Midwest, and that's the working class white people. Like, I'm not saying that they deserve the attention or whatever, but like Trump focused on them, and that's why they won.
Right. He went for the untapped potential of
the
Midwestern.
Yeah, and that's something that's a market that had never been exploited politically since Reagan did it in the 80s.
Right.
And what I was getting back to is us calling those people idiots is why they voted for Trump.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. It's like when you tell white people to stop saying the N-word. It's like it's
they
only
just say
going to make
more when nobody's around.
Exactly. It goes back to kindergarten or like first grade when you used to have like somebody picking on you for having like a large nose. The second you stop letting it bother you and tell them why, like, hey, I'm proud of this, like I like my nose or whatever, they stop fucking with you and they grow and they move on. That's what we need to do when it comes to politics. Is we need to say, yeah, it's theoretically okay to be a Republican or a Democrat, theoretically. What's not okay is to just completely ignore and shut out the other side and just never even consider conversating or growing or learning or changing your viewpoint. I think that's one of the biggest issues the country has.
I think it's going to come down to, can we unify to make our own country better?
I purposely don't think we can, but if enough people can, we might be able to get something done.
I've been saying for a minute, this is it. Like, I think we just got to tear it down and start anew because
I agree.
You know, when you're building a house and you build it on a bad foundation,
it's going to sink eventually.
Yeah, like your house is bad.
Yeah.
And when you look at what's happening to the Republicans, like the Republicans aren't even really Republicans. Like they're so much more like a nationalist fascist party than like actually being Republican now.
It's just all the politicians are so out for themselves and all about getting reelected that it takes them away from trying to create laws and to do shit because they're so worried about getting reelected almost immediately after getting elected to begin with.
Mm-hmm. They're just pandering.
And you would think that if you were worried about getting reelected after getting elected, you would be trying to work more with the people, right?
But
like they're not.
It's all about the financing of like congressmen and senators and all. It's all about in their financing. Their financing's so messed up that like, regardless of who we vote for, somebody's gonna pay them off and to pay them into getting specific bills signed, and that's what sucks. And I think that's what stinks the most is just the corruption and just non-transparency of everything. Like that's one of the reasons why so many Republicans in this country exist is the fact that they're not against taxes and not against more services being provided. It's just they don't trust the government to do so. And I'm probably in that category. Like I want us to have health care. I want us to have free education. I want us to have like a really good public transportation system. Like Kim's a smart person.
You never know till you try.
Right. I'm not going to try. I don't know. Ray J's not my type. But Kim's in law school. She's very close to, if not already, a lawyer.
No, she's getting ready for the bar right now.
Yeah, I didn't know if she passed it yet. But my point was, she may be the logistics and the like the law and the process kind of. Yeah, I don't even know if I want to say brains because it's, I guess, the more logistics and like the more paperwork side of it.
Right.
And she's the one that's meeting with congressmen and meeting with people and doing all the busy work kind of. While Kanye's more of the PR person and the ideas person, because I think they work very well as a team, and I do agree that it's interesting that Kim hasn't endorsed him for president yet, because I don't think he's really running. Like I think he thinks he is.
I think he is really running. I just don't think he will go anywhere with it. You know, if he gets 2%, 3% of the votes, I'll be very surprised.
I don't think he's going to even get that. And the other thing, people saying about how he's taking away votes from Biden, that I don't get that either, because like Biden has to earn those votes. They just don't go to him if somebody's not voting for Trump. You know, Biden's people that would vote for Kanye likely wouldn't be voting for Biden regardless either way, because they would just vote for him. You know, nobody's going to go to.
Yeah,
I don't think there's many people out there who's like, it's either Kanye or Biden. For most people,
No,
I think that are
a lot of
voting.
No,
people
no, no, no,
think
it's-
I don't like either of these options, so I'm gonna vote for the the outlandish third party.
Kanye.
Yeah, and
I
my
was
point is
literally just about to say that.
Biden/Trump have to convince those people to vote for it. Those votes don't just go to the other side if they don't like
No.
Trump, hypothetically. And that's my point is we should be focusing more on convincing those fringe and potential non-voters to vote for Biden or vote for Trump, whatever side you're on. That's what the focus should be on. It shouldn't be just telling and saying, don't vote for Kanye, because you know what happened the last time we as a
Just say
society
vote for
told
somebody
every.
else.
Well, it's remember the last time we told a bunch of people in the country to not vote for somebody at presidency? You guys remember what happened that time?
Yes.
Like Trump got elected. That's what happened. We as a country, and I don't even want to say the city people, but it seems like that's how it broke down, is that the coastal people kind of said, oh, well, you're an idiot if you vote for Trump, and like you don't, like your vote's stupid if you vote for Trump. That's the whole thing Trump ran on. Trump ran on this platform of, well, I'm going to go after the people who the government hasn't cared about in a while. And that's the Midwest, and that's the working class white people. Like, I'm not saying that they deserve the attention or whatever, but like Trump focused on them, and that's why they won.
Right. He went for the untapped potential of
Yeah.
the Midwestern.
Yeah, and that's something that's a market that had never been exploited politically since Reagan did it in the 80s.
Right.
And
I
what I was
don't
getting
think we
back
really know. Good.
and what I was getting back to is us calling those people idiots is why they voted for Trump.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing.
see
It's like
that.
when you tell white people to stop saying the N-word. It's like it's
They
only
just say
going to
it
make
more when nobody's around.
Exactly. It goes back to kindergarten or like first grade when you used to have like somebody picking on you for having like a large nose. The second you stop letting it bother you and tell them why, like, hey, I'm proud of this, like I like my nose or whatever, they stop fucking with you and they grow and they move on. That's what we need to do when it comes to politics. Is we need to say, yeah, it's theoretically okay to be a Republican or a Democrat. Theoretically. What's not okay is to just completely ignore and shut out the other side and just never even consider conversating or growing or learning or changing your viewpoint. I think that's one of the biggest issues the country has.
I think it's going to come down to, can we unify to make our own country better?
I
Because if we
purposely
can't-
don't think we can, but if enough people can, we might be able to get something done.
I've been saying for a minute, this is it. Like, I think we just got to tear it down and start anew because,
I agree.
you know, when you're building a house and you build it on a bad foundation,
Mhm.
It's going to sink eventually.
yeah, like your house is bad.
Yeah.
And when you look at what's happening to the Republicans, like the Republicans aren't even really Republicans. Like they're so much more like a nationalist fascist party than like actually
Or they're
being
just out for
Republican
themselves.
now.
It's just all the
Yeah,
politicians
like,
are so out for themselves and all about getting reelected that it takes them away from trying to create laws and to do shit because they're so worried about getting reelected almost immediately after getting elected to begin with.
They're just pandering.
And you
all
would
the time.
think that if you were worried about getting reelected after getting elected, you would be trying to work more with the people, right?
That are
But
gonna
like
get
they're
elected.
not.
It's all about the financing of like congressmen and senators and all. It's all about in their financing. Their financing's so messed up that like, regardless of who we vote for, somebody's gonna pay them off and to pay them into getting specific bills signed, and that's what sucks. And I think that's what stinks the most is just the corruption and just non-transparency of everything. Like that's one of the reasons why so many Republicans in this country exist is the fact that they're not against taxes and not against more services being provided. It's just they don't trust the government to do so. And I'm probably in that category. Like I want us to have health care. I want us to have free education. I want us to have like a really good public transportation system around the country. I don't trust the government to do that though.
Which is sad because you're paying taxes to do those things. Yeah, you're paying taxes to do those things. Like
Yeah,
one
but
of
I
those
don't trust
things
them.
shouldn't be a.
I don't trust them to get that done with the taxes they're getting now. So why would I want them to raise taxes to get more of my money?
I mean, it's more they're just
That's
misusing
fair.
the tax money that we are. giving them.
That's entirely my point. Is I don't trust them to do the stuff that they say or should do with my tax money.
No, I can
And I
totally
think
agree with that because, the government, we see them, this was supposed to go towards crisis relief.
Well,
yeah, we spent $7 million
40
on military upgrades. What?
No, 40%
What?
of our 40% of our tax money goes to the military. Like, I
Which
think
is
we should have
absolutely
a strong
absurd because,
military.
when was the last time we had a war, guys?
We're kind of in like multiple wars right now, but yeah.
So everybody knows that America's military budget is super bloated. But the reason for that is because despite us not like personally being on like one-on-one wars, we get into a lot of conflicts having to be the big brother, quote unquote, for a lot of countries. And other countries like France or England that have more than capable enough militaries to like be a big brother to like these smaller countries, they don't get involved. So then we end up getting involved, which was, I forget whose foreign policy that was, but based off of that being their foreign policy, we kind of got to where we are now with that, which is why everybody's like, yeah, exactly. Like it sucks. I'm not saying like that's a good idea. Because then my question immediately after finding that out was, why are we getting involved in the first place? Like
we can't even police our own citizens, right? We're supposed to be policing the rest of the world too.
Which was my exact point, bro. Like, okay, if you have us, England, and France, and these three countries just out of a hat can take care of like a smaller country's issues for them,
right?
Why would it always have to be us? Like, and
that's what the United Nations
do they want
should
us
be for,
pulling up anyway?
Yeah.
So if they don't want us, like we shouldn't have gotten involved to begin with. And then if another country can take care of it, then that other country should take care of it. Like it shouldn't always be America.
I agree.
I think it'll be really interesting just to see how Kanye ends up affecting this election, though, because nobody has any idea what's going to happen with all these write-ins. But only time will tell. But regardless of who you vote for, who your political party is, just make sure you get out there and vote. It's really important that you do your civic duty. It's one of the free things you can do as a citizen of this country. So make sure you voice your opinion, go out there, vote.
Please do.
Before we sign off, I want to shout out my boy Eric's podcast, Electrified. I believe there's new episodes every Friday. Not sure on the time, but we'll tweet out a link to his podcast. He's a good friend of the podcast. He'll likely be on here in a few weeks. Definitely check him out.
Real quick, I mean, every Friday, I don't know who's been peeping it and who hasn't, but I do this thing called Goyard Good Fridays where I drop 2 beats in a different genre. That I'll be doing that the next couple weeks in October, and I've got 3 weeks in the books on my SoundCloud. So you go to our page and then you go click on, my you'll be able to see it. Also, just in case Connor doesn't get to it, prayers up to Jeff Bridges. Heard he has lymphoma. Definitely don't want the dude going out in 2020. So.
And that's all the time we have for today. For The Jersey Doesn't Come Off, I'm Donovan Kennedy.
And I'm Freddie Goodman.
And it's your boy Connor Johnson.
Thank you everybody for listening. This is our 3rd episode. So if you've come back for a 3rd episode, thank you so much. And if this is your 1st episode, we really hope you enjoyed. You can follow us on our socials, get updates when we're going to post, teasers, all of the above. We hope to see you guys in the next one.